Hi guys, welcome to Mondays with Maybe. My name is Jeannie May, as you're aware, and last week I had you do a little bit of a homework assignment, I guess I want to call it, of writing a letter to yourself and just falling back in love with yourself and really just, when you're pivoted through disappointment, really just acknowledging that and allowing God to show you the blessing through that disappointment and not being so discouraged that you just give up on yourself and give up on your dreams, right? And and I hope that when you got done with my message last week that you actually reflected on it and you looked back on your life and you thought about it and where you're at today. And I hope you actually wrote the letter, because let me tell you, I've reread my letter a couple times and it's just been so beneficial for me. It really has. It's been wonderful for me to, look back on and just I've cried a couple times, just, being reminded how much we go through and how hard our life is sometimes, and just not acknowledging what we've gone through, like it's terrifying sometimes and it really can be so scary. And so I hope that you actually took that time to go through and write yourself a letter and just fall back in love with yourself. With that being said, this week we're going to talk about being complete in Christ. And the first thing I want to say is God put that dream in your heart for a reason. Okay? You have a message to tell the world. You have something to tell the world. Don't be ashamed to tell it. And I know so many people, that have struggled with drug addiction, that have struggled with abuse, that have struggled with alcoholism, whatever it may be, okay? And I'm not minimizing that whatsoever, because trust me, I've had my fair share of abuse and even alcoholism, I'm going to say. And I'm not minimizing that. What I'm simply saying is a lot of us are ashamed of our own story. A lot of us are ashamed of things that we've done in our past, but you can't grow if you're continually holding yourself back because of that shame. See, the moment that you set yourself free and you give that shame to God and you're like, hey, look, this is what I did and I'm not proud of it, but you love me and I'm asking for your grace, like it's one thing to go and apologize to God for, your sin and your mistake that you made and then continue making it, but it's another thing to go to God and say, look, I made a mistake and I'm so sorry, God, that I made that mistake, and I pray that you purify my heart. And trust me, it'll be a whole process. You're going to have a couple days where you fumble and fall. We all do. But if you go to God and you truly give that shame to God, He can change your life if you allow Him to change your life. He absolutely will. See, like 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even, I was not the best person. All right, I was drinking. I was being mean to people. I was putting others down to make myself look cool. I was in relationship after relationship trying to, feel needed or feel loved by anyone and everything. I was a model full time. And I mean, I'm still a model, but I was a model and I was a social media influencer and I was constantly posting hypersexualized videos, not like porn or anything like that, but even just, showing off my body because I had a nice body and like anything to make myself feel more loved and more appreciated and more accepted by people. And I finally came to God because I still felt so empty and so ashamed of what I was doing. Every time someone would be like, "Oh, you're Jeannie May the model," I'd be like, "Yeah, that's me." Like I was so ashamed of who I was, to the point where I couldn't even look past my current emotion. I couldn't even look past, what I was doing and the good that I was doing in other people's lives, and I couldn't look past, my shame. I was so consumed by shame and by guilt that I eventually started to tell myself and to believe that that's all I was worth and that's all I was capable of. And it wasn't until someone came into my life and was like, "You are worth so much more. What are you doing?" and started showing me what I'm worth, that I was like, what am I doing? And then I gave that shame to God and I started allowing God to actually change my life. And so I want to talk about today how you can give that to God and how you can become complete in Christ. Because see, a lot of us are sitting here telling other people how to live, and we're sitting here judging other people for decisions that they're making when we're no better. We are not seeing people the way God sees them. Let that sink in, all right? I know I don't. There are times I am so judgmental, and I'm not seeing everybody the way that God sees them. I'm not seeing, that homeless person as someone that God created, that God loved. I'm not seeing this abuser as someone of Christ. I'm not seeing them as God's child. I'm instantly judging them and instantly judging whatever situation they're in. And that's not fair of me. See, I want God to change me. I want God to purify me. I want God to change my heart and restore my heart and just make me that kind, soft-hearted Jeannie that I used to be. My dad called me Jeannie May all the time, so I love being called Jeannie May. But it turned into something that I started resenting as a model, unfortunately. But I want God to make me that person again. And I realized that if I want that, if I want to give that to God, if I want to be someone that, sees people the way God sees them and accepts people the way God accepts us, and if I want to be kind and I want to just be nice, that I need to allow God to be my lamp in this world. See, Psalms 119, I believe, 119, 105 says, your word is a lamp to my feet and light to my path. God is the lamp to your path. He will light the way for you if you allow him to. But many of us are stuck in this battle, this mental, emotional turmoil with our soul of between the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. We're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We go to church on Sunday, but we're still at the club on Saturday. We're, out here having meaningless relationships and hooking up with God knows who, but then we're still going to church and talking about, having a godly relationship and all this stuff. Like, you can't have it both ways, you guys. And I know in today's society, it makes it okay and it makes it acceptable. And if you're not at the club on Friday, you're a loser, right? But you're not. See, recently, I gave up drinking and I gave up going out and I gave up that life. And I haven't felt like I've been missing out on anything. I've been getting more sleep. I've been reading more books. I've been watching TV shows that I've actually wanted to watch for a while. I've been sleeping. It's been so nice. Just having that mental peace knowing I'm not missing out on anything. And you're not either. If you don't go to the club for a day, if you don't go to the bar with your buddies, if you're not, constantly posting on social media or texting people back right away, you're not missing out on anything. Get that out of your head, okay? You are not missing out on anything. In fact, you're actually enjoying a lot more things because you're living this life that God provided to you. You're living this life that God allows you to live. You're actually falling back in love with yourself and the simple things. And trust me, I didn't know how much I would enjoy the simple things, but like taking a nice hot bath before bed, reading a book, just listening to the birds chirp, or feeling the cold air on your face, sitting in the hot tub, like, oh my gosh, I would take that over going out any day. And I cannot believe I used to be the person that was like, oh, I have to go out because what if so-and-so is there and what if this and what if that and what if, this happens and I can't miss this. I used to be that person. And being a social media influencer, I was definitely that person. And I would be out in the bar doing TikToks and I would be, making myself look like a fool just because I needed the attention, because I needed the validation of others. And looking back, I'm like, why on earth did I try so hard to get people to like me when I didn't even like myself? Like, now I can fully say, I love myself. I love that I can come on camera totally natural and I can just have this conversation with you because I don't care if you don't like the way my hair looks. Honestly, it's kind of crazy and wild right now, but we're doing it. I don't care if you don't like my freckles or, like, I don't care because God made me this way and I'm happy with the way I am. Yes, I do still wear makeup sometimes, and yes, I do, like to get dolled up, but it's about enjoying life again. It's about falling back in love with the simple things and the peace of life. And once you look past, that current emotion you're feeling, or that current state you're in, or that neediness to be a part of whatever's popping down at the bar, once you look past that current emotion, you can actually ask yourself, like, is this God's will for my life? Does this bring me peace? And I guarantee you the answer is no. If you're so focused on your current emotion and you're so stuck in that spiritual battle of like, hey, I really enjoy going to church, I love how it makes me feel, but I really need to be at the bar, I really need this attention, I really, whatever, X, Y, and Z, no wonder why you're so ashamed of yourself. No wonder why you're so consumed with guilt, because you're fighting this spiritual battle. And let me tell you, you're gonna lose, okay? You need to choose whether you want to be in the kingdom of light or the kingdom of darkness. You can't have it both ways. And if you want God to be your lamp and you want him to truly light that path for you, you have to fully embrace it and fully step in. And I'm not saying you're going to be perfect. I'm not saying you're not going to fall and mess up from time to time, because Lord knows I do. But I am saying, as long as you intentionally put yourself in positions to make the right decision, as long as you intentionally show up for God every single day, and as long as you intentionally, allow God to come into your life, he's going to change your life for the best. And you're not going to be missing out on anything. In fact, you're going to see those early morning sunrises, and you're going to realize why you love early mornings all over again. You're going to listen to the birds chirping and just the wind blowing on your face, and you're going to realize why you enjoyed those nice quiet afternoons by yourself. You're going to go lay outside under the stars and just look at the constellations and just realize how small your problems really are and how big the world is. And you're going to feel so silly for being so upset that guy didn't text you back, or that girl didn't go on a date with you, or whatever the reason was, right? Like, when you look past your current state, you'll realize that it didn't bring peace to you because it wasn't God's will for you. And it'll make things so much easier to walk away from, all right? Now, with that being said, I want to ask you, why are you having such a hard time surrendering to God? For me, it was mostly because I didn't want to lose control. I didn't want to fade away. I didn't want people to forget about me because no one ever gave a crap about me when I was younger. And I just felt like a tiny little speck of dirt in the world, and I didn't like feeling like that. But now, as an adult, I can say that I honestly could care less. If people forget about me, if people don't remember me, awesome. Because guess what? I have me, and I have my son, and I have God, and I'm happy with that, and I'm actually okay with that. And it's so refreshing not to allow this dang thing to have all of my control and all of my attention. I literally muted all my notifications, all my text messages, everything. Yes, I still get phone calls, but everything else I muted on it. And it has been so nice and so peaceful because I'm not constantly getting like news alerts or emails or notifications from social media, and I'm constantly having to check it because, oh my gosh, someone forgot about me, or oh my gosh, someone messaged me, and it's so nice to just breathe. And when I want to be intentional and I want to be on my phone, I can be intentional and I can be on my phone. But when I want to be present with my son, and when I want to enjoy life, and when I want to be focused and dialed in or reading my book, guess what? I don't have that distraction. And it is so dang nice not to have that distraction. So I want to encourage you. Maybe if you feel like social media is a huge distraction for you or a huge trigger for you, and you can feel yourself truly being pulled into it, minimize that distraction. If relationships are a distraction for you, maybe don't be in one for a while. Maybe try to figure out how to be by yourself for a while. And trust me, preaching to the choir here, I need to hear this more than anyone today, that it's okay to just be alone. It's okay to heal your attachments, and it's okay to heal your relationship trauma and whatever you're going through. It's okay to be alone, and it's okay to work on that by yourself. You don't need someone all the time to make you feel okay. And I know it's scary. Trust me, I get it. I've been there. I'm there. But it's okay. As long as you have support in your life and you have one person to talk to, you have everything you need. Even then, I mean, you have God, you have Jesus. You always have me. You can always email me. My phone number's in my link. You can always call me anytime if you ever need to talk. I'm here for it. Like I'm that person that will always give it to you straight and always just listen to you if you need to vent. Okay. With that, I want to encourage you to stop allowing Satan to deceive you. All right, those lies that you have going on inside your head, that you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not, you're never gonna get the girl you want, you're never gonna be successful, you're never gonna have this, you're never gonna do that, you're never gonna have a family, blah 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 blah. Right, the list goes on. Quit believing that. That is 1,000% Satan, and the only reason he's doing that is to pull you away from God. The only reason he's doing that is because he doesn't want God to have your heart. He doesn't want you to have light in you. He wants you to be in the darkness. And a friend of mine told me about this beautiful vision, this beautiful dream he had about a battle between light and darkness. And I'm going to share it. I'm going to leave names out, but he was telling me about this dream he had. And I was just driving and I was listening to him talk, and he was talking about this spiritual battle he had. And the darkness was pulling him down. and it was pulling him down, and there was hands all over him, and it finally got, his whole face was covered, and he was just covered in darkness. But then there was a little glint of light, just a little glint of light, as the hands were covering his face, and as they couldn't see anything, and it's just all black and scary, there's a little glint of light, and that little glint of light got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then people were pushing him out of the darkness and pulling him into the light, and the darkness just had a grip on him, and it kept trying to pull him down, but the light was so strong and so overpowering that finally he got pulled into the light, and then the darkness faded, and then he was just in this white room, all light, just all light. Could you imagine that? When he said that, I thought of that movie Click, when he when he was in heaven and it was just a whole light room. I was like, wow. Could you imagine that? How powerful. Could you imagine just being in a room full of light, no shadow, no darkness? As I'm looking around in my office right now, there's parts of shadows, there's parts of darkness. Could you imagine none of that? Just all light. How beautiful would that be if that was your heart? How beautiful would that be if that was your soul? And I honestly just started tearing up, and I'm even trying not to tear up right now as I'm thinking about it, but how beautiful would it be if we were truly who God intended us to be, and we were just full of light and there was no darkness? Stop hiding those parts of your heart. Stop allowing Satan to pull you into the darkness. Oh my gosh, I'm crying. Stop it, okay? Stop hiding those parts of your heart that are dark. Stop. Because if you ever want to give yourself to God, if you truly ever want to have that relationship with God, you need to allow him into all of the parts of your heart, even the scary ones, even the ones where you were so full of shame and guilt and you're just like, oh, no one's ever going to love me. Give that to God first, because I guarantee as soon as you do that, you're going to start falling in love with yourself, and you're going to start accepting yourself, and then it'll get easier for everyone else to love you and everyone else to accept you, because you won't care. You won't care. And I know that sounds terrifying. Okay, there's parts of me that I'm ashamed of. There's things I've done in my past that I'm ashamed of. I've stolen from people. I manipulated people. I said bad things about people. I truly had ill intent in mind when I was meeting people or when I was talking to people. And even recently, like even within the last 2 years, I was manipulating people for my own personal benefit, or I was being deceitful about things for the upper hand, or whatever it may be. I recently have owned up to that, and I recently have been like, you know what, I wasn't a good person. Let's fix that, because God can do anything. God is capable of anything. He can move mountains. He can create you whole again. He can restore your heart and make it new. But most importantly is he can guide you down the right path if you allow him to. If you allow him to be your lantern to light your feet and light the way, he can guide you down that path. And today I want to encourage you, if you're scared, if you're full of shame, if you have anything going on in your life, if you are battling that fight against light and evil, and you're battling surrendering to God because you don't think he's going to accept you, let me tell you today, he's the one person that will accept you no matter what you've done. You could have murdered someone. You could have robbed a bank. You could have, I don't know what gets worse than that, but you could have done so much bad stuff, okay? You could have aborted a child. I tried to abort my son when I was pregnant with him because I had a lot of medical issues, and that shame and that guilt ate me alive for so long, and it wasn't until I could openly talk about it that I felt that guilt leave, and it wasn't until I could give it to God that I no longer felt shame for it at all, because yes, I always tried to, make an excuse or justify trying to abort him because I had those medical issues, but the reality of it is that was a baby, that was a person that God trusted me to raise, that God made in his image, and I tried to kill it. And I'm totally pro-choice here, like do whatever you want, but I'm an example here. If that is something that you're allowing to consume you, if you have a drug addiction, if you have a porn addiction, if you have alcoholism, if you've murdered someone, if you've stolen from people, like whatever you may be facing, okay, give it to God. Have that hard, honest conversation with God, and you will be amazed at how much better you feel after you give it to God and after you say it out loud. Write it in a letter, burn it, do whatever you need to do, okay? Because you have a message to tell. God is working through you to impact someone else. But He can't do that until you get rid of that shame. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We've all made mistakes. We're human, okay? If we were all Christ, yes, that's a whole different story, but we're not. The beauty of it is we're human, and God knows we're going to make mistakes. Adam and Eve made mistakes. I mean, come on, it goes all the way back from day one, all right? Humans are born to make mistakes. But it's what you do about that mistake that matters, and it's how you handle that mistake. And moving forward, that is what matters, and that's what counts. So, today, I want to challenge you to have that conversation. Give it to God. Write it down. Say it out loud, and then burn it. Because you have a message to tell. God put that on your heart for a reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're going to get out of this message. You might just be watching it because you're a friend of mine and you support me. Awesome. Thanks for being here. But I hope you truly take something out of this, because you are going to impact so many more people than you realize once you stop battling that spiritual warfare inside of you. Once you truly step into who you were being called to be, it's going to be incredible. So, with that being said, stop hiding those parts of your heart from God. Step into who you're being called to be. Write down whatever shame, whatever guilt you have. Give it to God. Say it out loud. Burn it. And be who God called you to be. Because you have a story to tell. You're here for a reason. Don't be ashamed of that, all right? With that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for watching my podcast, and I hope that you've gotten some value out of it. I know last week's was really quiet, so I hope this one's been louder. If not, I need to get a new microphone. But I really hope that you got something out of this. And again, please, I love the feedback I've been getting. You can email me, you can message me. Like I said, in my link, all my stuff's in there. So please shoot me a message if you like this, if there's anything I could do different for you guys. If there's anything you want to know more about, I'm more than happy to talk about it. That being said, thanks again. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, whatever, however YouTube works. I don't really know. And then these will also be available on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. So thanks again for being here. I appreciate you. Please tune in next week for another episode of Mondays with Maybe. I am Jeannie May, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of your week. I love you. God loves you. Bye-bye.